Welcome back to Builds Not Projects. This week we're taking this mom spaghetti. We're gonna turn it into a functioning wiring harness for this thing. That way we can get her fired up and see what happens. So we're gonna get started building the wiring harness. Basically we've got a kill switch wire, so we'll have to run one up to the front for that, as well as we'll have to run an engine ground up there as well, or a body ground, whichever. I mean, they're gonna all be grounded to the frame as well, so either way we'll have to run one of those. We will have a power wire coming in. Well, this one's got the little plug on it, wherever it went. That one right there. That guy will plug in to the voltage regulator, and then basically we can just run powers for lights and such and all the gauges up, and then we'll have another extra wire that's going to come off of the coolant temp sensor or the coolant temp switch, I guess, because it just kicks the light on. So we'll have to run that wire, and then we will run probably a switch or something up in the front for the cooling fan. May even run it on probably just run it on a toggle switch, and that way we can just kick it on when we need it. So far I've gotten all the gauges wired in. You can see all the wiring under there. And then I got wires ran up to the kill switch as well. And then wires ran all the way to the back here. And then I can go ahead and get all of these hooked up back here now. So there's a little bit of a mess of wires back here, because I've got all the powers and grounds that come out of the factory snowmobile harness that plugs into the engine. And then I've got all of the wires that I just ran that I need to hook up as well. So basically, all these yellow wires are power, brown ones are ground. These two orange ones are kill switch wires here. Blue one I need to get ran up to the coolant switch. And then black's ground, red's just an extra one for now, just so that way I don't have to run another one later on if I need it. Before we get started on mounting the fan on the back side of the radiator, need to move the radiator cap and filler neck. I'm gonna move it over to this side. And then I'll be building another mount for the radiator as well. Not sure if I'm going to do one on the bottom or on the top here, but do another mount on there that solid it up a little better. Okay, so I just cut the filler neck off. It got too thin, so then when I tried to weld it on over here, I ended up with a little bit of a bulge on the inside there. And then, so a cap's not gonna fit on there anymore. So what I did is I just ordered a new filler neck. That'll be here at the end of the week, so I'll get that stuff finished up then. But I'm gonna go ahead and build another one of these rubber mounts like I did here, but build it for that side over there. So we'll get started doing that now. So I ordered a new filler neck on Amazon. They didn't have any size listings on it. They didn't say how big it was. Well, it's a little bit bigger than the one that I had on there before, so I don't know, not gonna wait for another one to show up, so we're gonna go ahead and try to make it work. I'm gonna mount it right in here somewhere, get it welded on, and then go from there. we're moving on. Gonna go ahead and get this bottom mount made now. I'm gonna use a piece of this 1-inch tubing. Just build a little piece to go in here, and then there'll be a little tab that comes off of it, and then another little rubber mount like I did on this side. So we'll go ahead and get that done, then we can go from there. So I went through and ohmed out the wires in here to figure out which group went together, and then that way I could look at the back of the gauge where they were plugged in, and then just go based off of pairs. So the two next to each other are pairs, but like 1 and 8, or 1 and whatever number that is on the back of the gauge, 1 and 8 go together, and then 2 and 3 go together. It's kind of goofy, but and then they have to be hooked up in the right order as well on here. So if the gauge didn't work with a little bit of heat from the torch, then just swap those, try it again, and then you get gauge functions. I'll show you how that works. A little bit of heat on there for these exhausts. So we can go ahead and drill the holes in the exhaust now to put these temperature probes in, so they'll get mounted up in here like this. I'm trying to just stick them out to the side just a little bit, so then that either side of the spring, that way we don't run into springs. So we'll go ahead and get those drilled, get all the exhausts mounted for good, and then go from there.
Hey everyone, we just wanted to thank you guys for watching the channel. We've been super excited to see the growth and really enjoy seeing all your guys' input on how our builds are going. So if you're feeling nice, make sure you're subscribed, turn that bell notification on so you don't miss our uploads every week, usually every week. And stay tuned for what we're coming up with next. We're gonna announce that in the next couple weeks. So back to the build.
finally got enough stuff together. Ended up just throwing a couple self-tappers in there to hold that front plate on. Not going to worry about the sides yet. Gauges are kind of held in there. Need to build some mounting for those still. Got the cooling fan switch for the radiator hooked up, and as well as everything else is put back together. All the temperature probes are in. Fan is mounted and wired in. Last little coolant tubes hooked up. All the coolant hoses are clamped on. Fuel filters added. It's got gas in it. Filled it up with water since it's just going to be getting taken back apart anyways, and just kind of make sure that it doesn't have any leaks. So we're going to go ahead and get this thing down off the table and see if maybe it'll drive. Not too sure. See what happens. Yeah, I noticed that. Oh, this thing's gonna be insane. Crazy.
Yeah, they looked a little sketchy.
Yeah, it doesn't turn at all, so it's a little bit scary. I just picked it up to turn it around at the end of the road because there's no way it's going to turn around. But yeah, I get a knobby on the front, gear it way down because it just barely gets in the pipe at about 45, and then you got to let off of it because it's way too scary to go over like 75. Well, I may have forgot to weld the bracket on for the choke a little better, so it rattled and fell off going down the road. So just threw a little zip tie on it so we can drive it a little more.
Well, that was a lot more eventful than our Odyssey rides.
Yeah.
This thing is stupidly fast.
Yeah, this thing's nuts. It's
like you can't even process how fast you're going until you look at the speedo, and it's yeah,
somewhere above like 65, 75 up in there, and as soon as it hits the pipe, it's just gone. It definitely gonna gear it down quite a bit. I kind of figured it was gonna be too high, but I didn't want to pull the axle out and rechange everything, so figured we'd give her a try. That way we kind of had an idea. So definitely got to gear it down. Definitely need a knobby tire or something on the front to try to get this thing to steer. Maybe figure out a way to add some weight, because it just doesn't turn. You'll be doing 70, 75, doesn't turn. There's nothing you can do. So we'll get her to drift at some point, but it's definitely going to take a little bit of messing with. Huge thanks to Rogue Fab on this build for helping us out with the old bender and notcher setup. This thing turned out way better than it ever would have without it. Make sure you stay tuned. We're definitely going to be tearing this thing apart, getting it all painted up, doing all the gearing changes, fixing a few other little things, finishing up a few other little things like these terrible foot pegs that are slippery as all get out. Gonna figure something out there as well. So make sure you hit the like and subscribe button if you already haven't. Share this video with all your friends and family, and stay tuned for the next one.